Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, it's a very common story. Entrepreneurs are growing their organization, their business, and then they plateau, and some of them even fall back a ways. That's when they hire a guy like my next guest. Blake Winters is in the studio. He's with EOS Worldwide. His incredible story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I'm a proud member of EO Dallas. That's Entrepreneurs Organization, a global entrepreneur organization. And I like to feature members and sponsors when I can. And Blake Winters is in the studio right now. He's with EOS Worldwide. He's a new sponsor of EO Dallas. Thanks for coming on the show.
Jeff, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
All right, let's start with the basics. EOS, what does that mean?
EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it's a set of tools and processes and systems designed to help entrepreneurs run a better business. Because as anyone who has been around entrepreneurship knows, it is a challenge to run a business. So we help make that a little bit easier.
Yeah, let's break it down. So let's suppose you are a baker who has a donut shop, and then you're suddenly going into donut shop number 2 and donut shop number 3. Your key skill set could be baking, not running teams, not managing inventory. And so how does an implementer like you come in and help a baker?
Yeah, that's great. So a baker with donut shop number 1, they're making amazing donuts. They're a big hit in the community. Everyone loves it. They open that second location, things increase in complexity exponentially. They go to that third exponentially, and it continues to get more complicated. Why? Because now they're not just dealing with 1 or 2 ovens, baking the product needed for a day. They've got management teams overseeing locations. Their P&L is much larger than it was. They have overhead from their second and third location. Everything that goes on, they're now running a real operation rather than running 1 or 2 ovens.
Right.
And like you said, someone may be a fantastic baker, but they may not be a fantastic operator of a business at scale. So when they make that transition from that mom and pop shop to a real entrepreneurial operation, we need processes in place. We need systems in place. We need to ensure we have the right people in place that are accountable for the right things if it's going to be successful. And unfortunately, for most entrepreneurs, it's not successful. In about 5 years, 50% of businesses don't make it.
Wow.
So my goal is to help all the companies that I work with make it 5 years, make it 10 years, 30 years, whatever it is that they want. My goal is to make that happen.
Okay, let's talk about the history of EOS. How long has it been around?
So EOS has been around for about 20 years. It was created by a gentleman by the name of Gino Wickman, who had a family business, took over the family business, turned around the family business, and eventually sold the family business. He was actually a member of the EO Detroit chapter, like we're members and sponsors of the EO Dallas chapter. And he was working with the other leaders there and discovered, you know what? I've got a knack and passion for the art and science of running an entrepreneurial business, everything he had learned from the turnaround of his family business. And then he spent a couple of years pulling together EOS, the simple tools, developing the system. And there was a couple iterations of what it looked like in the early years. But the EOS model that we've come to know now has been pretty consistent for over a decade. And since then, there's been 200,000 full-day sessions, which is what we take our clients through for about 30,000 organizations. And there's 900 EOS implementers, which is what I am.
Wow. And your dad got involved early on.
My dad did get involved early on. He was actually the first EOS implementer in Texas. And the way he would say it is he's the first implementer south of Des Moines, Iowa. I could have that wrong. So Dad, please fact check me on that. But he's been doing it for about 15 years, which is really cool because I've been around these concepts for 15 years, obviously with Dad doing it. But then I got to see EOS implemented in one of my businesses before I became an implementer. So it's been a full circle story for me, how I got to be where I am today.
I love that. We're going to pull up his website, and as we scroll down the website, what does an ideal client look like? Is it a business between 1 million and 10 million in revenue, or what's your ideal client?
Yeah, so revenue is not the way that I would judge it. It's more on employee size. Because like we talked about the baker with multiple locations, when you hit a certain number of people, well, people are hard to manage at times. So looking at about 10 to 250 employees is the sweet spot. Now, I have clients that have fewer than 10 employees, and I have clients that have far more than 250. But that's the sweet spot for what works. And they, more importantly, need to have leaders and owners that are growth-oriented and open-minded. They're more afraid of the status quo than they are of change. Simply meaning they want to be better. They know they can be better, because if a company comes to me and they say, we run the most amazing business ever and everything's firing on all cylinders, I say, high five, keep doing what you're doing. You don't need me to get in the way of that.
Right.
But unfortunately, not all businesses are doing that. And they need to have the humility to say, we need an opportunity to improve. And we believe this is the thing that can help us do that.
Yes. I urge you all to follow Blake on all his social media platforms, because he creates these great videos. I found one that I really like. You produced it about a month or so ago. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Hi, Blake Winters, professional EOS implementer, and I'm going to try to do this one fast, try to keep it at about a minute. This is a bonus follow-on video from the issues video that I just released. So if you haven't seen it, please go check that out. What I want to cover here is something that's not very well known in the EOS community, which is the issue atomizer, which is a model that was created by my father, Mark Winters. I'm not going to hold that the whole time, so I've got it illustrated here on the board. Now, the issue atomizer comes into place when we're IDSing a major issue, something that came up throughout the course of the quarter, so we don't have a rock that's addressing it, and it needs to be addressed within the 90 days. And we know that we can't solve it in just one IDS session. So what we do then is we use the issue atomizer, where we start with this large issue. We then IDS it, asking ourselves, what's the root cause, and discussing it enough to say, what can we do in the next 7 days to progress that towards being solved? We do that, we write our 7-day to-do. We come back the next week, we've learned something, again, identifying the root cause, maybe that's changed, discussing it briefly with the intent of getting to the next 7-day action item, and then we iterate through this process, maybe over the course of 3, 4, 5, or even 6 weeks, until poof, our issue is solved. Now, this is helpful for our larger issues. Most of our issues, quite frankly, aren't that large, and we're able to address them with one IDS, one to-do, or a couple of to-dos within the 7 days, and make it go away. So next time you got a large issue in the middle of the quarter, recommend checking that out. Thank you.
All right. Well, you're really good in front of the camera. So
I have two observations from that video that are just kind of making me chuckle as that rolls. The first is, a studio like this in a production like this is just so much more professional looking than that.
Thank you.
And the second thing is, I have a really bad habit of wearing this uniform all the time.
I think it's your signature.
I guess it now is my signature.
That's right. All right. Tell me one of your favorite success stories of all time.
Sure. So I've been fortunate to work with about 30 companies at this point. And one of these companies in particular came to me about a year ago. And I'm not going to use names, but they've got 8 to 10 franchises throughout the company. And when they came to me, they've been in this business for a while. And as you mentioned when we started off the show, a lot of businesses flatline, and they were actually one of those that were unfortunately descending. They were getting worse quarter over quarter. So they came to me with humility, as we mentioned. They understood that they needed to get better, or else they weren't going to be in business very much longer. So we began implementing EOS with them, starting at the leadership team level, getting everyone clear, taking a big step back, saying, what is really important to this organization? Who are we as an organization? What industry are we truly in? Because sometimes companies try to mix the industries that they play in. So let's get clear on it. What is it that we do and are best at? Where do we want to go long term? And how are we going to get there? Meaning, what are the steps that we need to take over the next year, the next quarter, on the leadership team level? And then we started to bring those down into each of those franchises,
Yes.
getting them clear on what they needed to focus on over the next 90 days. Because at that point, they were all operating independently. There was nothing similar between them. They were basically in the same industry, doing the same thing, operating as 10 complete, discrete businesses. So our job was to get them speaking the same way, focusing on the same things, and ensuring that the leadership in each of those was the appropriate leadership. Because that's what we found is the leadership at some of those locations, it was a leadership vacuum. There wasn't a leadership team put in place there. So we got them clear on who the leaders were, what they were accountable for, so everyone's not trying to do everything at once.
Yes.
That's unsustainable. If you're accountable for everything in the entire business, good luck. You're either never going to sleep or you're going to walk out the door and go find something else.
Yes.
So we have to make it something that's manageable. So we delegate responsibilities around, ensure that we've got the right people managing those responsibilities. And as we started this process, things were not all sunshine and rainbows. There were some quarters where I had to look across them at the table and say, are you really committed to this process? Are we really taking this seriously? Because the results weren't showing it. Fast forward to today,
Yes.
a lot of those franchises that were losing tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars are now making hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them making over $1 million in profit every year.
Well, and when you think about organizations as they grow, you can't have everybody kind of freelancing. So if you go to a McDonald's anywhere on the planet, the fries are going to be here, the shake machine is going to be here. There's a significance to having a repeatable formula. Spend a little time talking about that.
Yeah, and that's a great example. McDonald's doesn't have the best fries in the world. Maybe that's an offensive statement for some people, but they're great. They're consistent. Because the person who's making the fries knows how to salt them to the exact specifications of what McDonald's corporate's saying. There's no McDonald's that does their own fries their own way. Why? Maybe they're better fries. Maybe the chef knows how to make better fries, but they're not McDonald's fries. And that's something that a lot of organizations need to learn is we want to find the right and best way of doing things, but our way of doing things is the way that things need to be done. And if you have a better way of doing things, well, be receptive as leaders in the organization to hear that. Maybe there's some adjustments that need to be made. If we're doing something a certain way, the reason shouldn't be we've always done it that way. It should be that's the right and best way of doing things. So we make adjustment to our processes over time, but whatever the process is, whatever that expectation is, we expect that be followed 100% throughout the organization.
Outstanding. Okay, Blake, we have about a minute left. So look into the camera on the left and talk to that business leader who probably needs to bring you in.
Yeah. So if you're an entrepreneur out there or an entrepreneurial leader out there, or even just a part of an entrepreneur organization, and you find that you're not getting the results that you want, you don't have enough time to enjoy running your business and enjoy your life. If you are unsure of what the next 12 months look like, reach out to an implementer like me to implement EOS to get you clear on who you are as an organization, what it is that you want, and then how we plan to get there. This is not science. It's not a magic pill. It's not a cure-all. It takes real hard work. It's simple but not easy. But through the EOS implementation process, we can get you clear on all those things. And whatever it is that you want from your business, my goal is to help you achieve that.
Outstanding. Okay, we're going to end with his website. And as we put that on the screen, just thank you once again for coming on the show, the great Blake Winters. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
On the Jeff Crilley Show. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.